From Luke Hobbs returning to the franchise in the most iconic way possible, to the Fast saga finally getting its full circle moment, Dwayne Johnson has returned to the Fast franchise. And fans are shocked. Here's the thing. Fast 10 ends with many twists, and as expected, a shocking cliffhanger. But hey, you know what was the most surprising bit? The fact that Dwayne Johnson returned to the franchise just in time. And in true Rock fashion, he returned with a bang. So the scene starts with a group of masked agents raiding an empty building. One agent enters a theater and walks towards a television playing Roy Rogers' Happy Trails. Then, an old classic phone starts ringing, and the audience hears Dante on the other end. "Howdy, partner. Do you like surprises?" He then also says, "You took the most important thing in my life from me. Dom drove the car, but you pulled the trigger, and now I'm going to make you suffer." Dante Reyes, you know, the super messed up villain played by Jason Momoa. It gets more interesting. You see, right as Dante finishes his piece, the audience is shown the end of Fast 5. In the scene where Lieutenant Luke Hobbs, Dwayne Johnson's character Reyes, is killing Hernan, Dante's father, the agent then removes his mask, and guess what? It's Luke freaking Hobbs. Dante tells Hobbs that the devil's coming for him and calls him a lawman. As an insult, of course. In true Luke Hobbs fashion, though, he replies, "Well, it ain't hard to find you, scotch." You see, from the trailers, it's quite clear that Dante's out here fighting because he wants to avenge his dad's death, and of course, he wants to take revenge for the money that they stole from him. But here's the thing. It wasn't a one-man job. It wasn't even a one-squad job, really. A lot of fans pointed out that Dom didn't pull the trigger, so why is this guy so hell-bent on taking revenge on him? And if The Rock hadn't made an appearance, then what would have ended up happening was that there would have been a major loophole in the movie. Now, Johnson's return to the franchise took everyone by surprise. That's because the actor very publicly stated that there was no chance that he would be returning. Vin Diesel, the guy who plays Dominic Toretto and produces these movies, has had a feud with Dwayne since 2016. That's how far back this went. And then in 2021, Diesel publicly asked him to return to the franchise, telling him that he had a very important role to play. However, at the time, Johnson said that Diesel's request was manipulative. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because in the same breath that he asked for The Rock to come back, he mentioned Paul Walker's children, the actor who passed away in 2013. The Rock wasn't having any of it, and said, once again, he will not be returning. In an interview with CNN, the wrestler-turned-actor claimed that he had already told Diesel he had no plans to play Hobbs again. So this begs the question, why did he have a change of heart? Here's what people think happened. You see, folks think that this cameo was shot after Dwayne's DC movie Black Adam absolutely bombed at the box office. I mean, the movie grossed only $393 million globally. This might seem like a lot of money. The truth is, it's not. Spider-Man No Way Home grossed almost $2 billion globally. That's 5 times more. Now I know it's not fair to compare the two, but I did it anyway to show just how badly Black Adam did. Here's the thing. The franchise needs him, but this time around, he needs the franchise too, because his superhero movie career hangs in the balance. And Vin Diesel stated that Fast 10 is just the first part of a 3-part ending. So with 2 good performances in an historic franchise like The Fast and the Furious, could be exactly what his career needs. You see, folks, it's not about The Rock showing up in the last 2 movies, it's about his own sequel, Hobbs and Shaw 2. And now that he's back in the franchise, a sequel seems more likely. And on that note, as I already mentioned, it was Hobbs who pulled the trigger. And since Dom's son was involved in Dante's whole revenge arc, I think we can all expect Dwayne's daughter to be a part of the next 2 movies. Cause Dom's been all about family, and this is exactly why when taking revenge, Dante's been all about family too. But let's talk about what fans on Twitter are saying about this return. As with literally everything on the internet, some are happy and some aren't. One user talked about how the Black Adam movie failed so badly that Dwayne Johnson returned to this franchise with his tail between his legs. Another user, though, was ecstatic, tweeting, "He's back, baby." One fan pointed out that this seems to be a last-minute reshoot, and that it doesn't seem like it was originally going to be a part of the film. Another user talked about how Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham's chemistry is the best thing to ever happen to this franchise. And you know what? I second that. The pair was super funny during the entire Hobbs and Shaw spin-off, but here's a question on everyone's mind. what does this all really mean for the entire franchise? Well, for starters, this could mean that Luke Hobbs will be a massive part of the franchise's ending. Has there been bad blood? Yes. Has it been solved? Probably not. But despite all of that, The Rock's too big to be a part of a small tease. So the simple fact of the matter is that he's going to play a big part in the last 2 movies. In other words, Luke Hobbs is back. Plus, Dom's gonna need a buddy to fight Dante, wouldn't he? Yes, he's got others, like his brother and Deckard Shaw. But Dante's crazy, absolutely freaking crazy. So, all 6'5" Dwayne Johnson's going to need to do is fight him too. But that's not all. This could also open up avenues for more characters to return in the 11th film of the franchise. Look, the thing is, Fast 10 ends on a cliffhanger. How exactly it transitions into Fast 11 is something we won't know till the movie's out. But this movie's return makes one thing clear. Actors can, and probably, will be brought back. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. Giselle. Fans really do miss Giselle, played by Gal Gadot. And honestly, it's not nice seeing Han all lonely like that, so her coming back to the franchise could really work out for the best. Another quite apparent thing is that Hobbs and Shaw 2 is more likely to happen. I've already mentioned this, but now let's talk about why it's more likely. So the first movie had a budget of $200 million. It grossed $760 million globally. Not bad, right? I mean, it's not as big as any of the newer Fast movies, of course, but it's big enough. Big enough to get its own sequel, but surprisingly, it never happened. And according to speculations, it never happened because that spin-off was one of the biggest reasons the feud started. Diesel was not happy with all the attention Dwayne Johnson was getting. And that's exactly why they started to grow apart. But now he's back, and it seems that the two are friends again, so chances are he'll get his sequel too. Plus, this time around, the sequel could maybe even focus on some of the other characters from the franchise. Speaking of focus though, Johnson's return could mean that Fast and Furious focuses less on Vin's Dom. So this new development could mean that the franchise isn't going to live and die with Dom anymore. Something that's kind of becoming a problem. As you see earlier, it was different. There was Brian, played by the late Paul Walker alongside Dom. But then, with these new movies, without Brian and without Luke Hobbs, the franchise just got too Toretto-centric. The problem is, the other characters have always kind of been supporting characters, and it just won't work out to force them into the main character role. But Dwayne Johnson has a presence that's strong enough for him to be one of the main characters. But the most important thing that The Rock's return does is that it brings the franchise full circle. You see, Dwayne made his debut in the Fast saga in the 5th installment, and that's exactly where the villain of the 10th film is from too. Since the franchise was already revisiting the 5th movie, it just didn't make sense for Luke Hobbs to be missing from the scene, so from the Fast saga finally getting its full circle moment to Luke Hobbs returning to the franchise in the most iconic way possible, this was everything about Dwayne Johnson's return to the Fast franchise, which has left the fans shocked.